been living here for 2 years now. What exactly do you think we are?
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think we are?
I asked you first.
All right, Angela. You want to know what I think?
That's why I asked.
I think we should take this here champagne over to the fireplace and discuss it.
Maybe we should.
So? Oh!
What is it?
My stomach, it's killing me.
Oh my God, I poisoned you! Oh God, you're burning up. I'm calling the doctor. I don't want to hear any macho arguments from you. You are too sick. You need professional attention,
Angela,
and
could you call a doctor?
Right.
Some clam bake. Wonder if there are any leftovers.
Oh, Angela. Oh.
Wow. Happy anniversary.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to
Hey, yo. Oh, hey.
the Who's the Boss podcast. I'm Tori,
I'm Kevin.
and we are here to rewatch and discuss every single episode of Who's the Boss. Now, even though we have one more episode to go this season, I'm going to say we're at the season finale.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, this is technically the season finale. And if you watch this, if you're watching in order on Amazon Prime, the episode before this one would be Charmed Lives. But according to air dates, the anniversary show, which is the episode we're covering today, actually aired before Charmed Lives. And I really feel like this is the season finale, and then Charmed Lives was a kind of pilot for a spinoff. Yeah. So we are going to cover that episode next time.
Well, it was a pilot.
Yeah. It's pilot to a spinoff. Like,
okay.
It's barely Who's
No,
the
I thought
Boss.
you said it was like a pilot.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like
it was.
Yes. It's just not like a normal pilot.
Right.
Because it is like part of Who's the Boss.
Right. I see what you're saying.
So yeah, we will cover that next time. And then
that'll be an 8-minute show.
I know. Somehow we're probably going to manage to still talk for 37 minutes.
Well, yeah.
That'll be short.
I feel like I'll have a lot to say about that thing, even though, because it's bizarre.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have one mention, which is that, so I listened to the day after we record the podcast, I export it to an MP3 file, and then I listened to it to make sure that I didn't have any holes or anything before it goes.
Or you just make sure I didn't sound like that much of an idiot.
Right, and then
That's really what you do.
I cut out about 37% of the stuff that you say, but you don't know that because you never actually listen to the episodes. That's not true. But so I was listening to us talk about the Helen Keller joke from The Unnatural, and I realized that now I get the joke.
Okay, good.
The joke.
No, because I don't.
Well, the joke is that Helen Keller would be able to feel it because she punches him and then she's running on her hand.
What? What are you running on her hand?
Because when she's talking about the hit and run.
Oh, okay.
She punches him so he would feel that, and then she's running on her hand. So I think the idea is that Helen Keller, since it's something that you can feel, the sign, that's why she would get it. I'm not saying it's funny. I'm just saying that now I understand the joke. By listening to the two of us idiots trying to figure out the joke, I then got the joke, kind of.
I see.
Anyway, so if anyone was like, these people are so dumb, it's because she could feel it, then I get it now. And so I just wanted to make sure that we put it out there. That we did.
All right, well, it's out there.
At least half of us did understand the joke.
It's out there.
Afterwards. Okay, so today we are covering Season 2, Episode 25, The Anniversary Show. It first aired on May 6th, 1986, and the TV Guide summary says, Angela is caught off guard when a groggy Tony mutters, I love you, to her, as he's going into surgery for an appendectomy.
Just so everybody knows, tonight, because it's the anniversary show, we're having gin and tonic.
We are, yes.
I don't know why I felt the need to say it, because it's special.
It is a special night, special episode, special
We're
drink.
out of champagne, so we're having gin and tonic.
Yeah, right. Is that what they were drinking in the...
Yeah, they were.
They were having champagne. Yeah. This episode was written by Robert Sternin, Prudence Fraser, who are married, and then Ellen Guilus. Right. It was like everybody, all hands on deck for this.
Right, because this is the anniversary episode. We need
3 of our top writers in here.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited because for the first time, I have, so on the website, Who's the Boss Resource, which I've mentioned before, which is now defunct, but that you can still find some information on it if you go through the Wayback Machine. They have, somebody wrote up a transcript of the actual final draft of the script. So I have the final draft of the script, and I went along with it as we watched the episode. So there are a few things that I'll mention that I thought were fun or cute, some things that are cut out, and then also some of the prompts for the actors during the anniversary dinner part, which I think will be kind of fun to go over. So when this episode opens, Tony's making breakfast for everyone. And I guess the kids are eating eggs, and then he puts French toast on Mona's dish. And he says, eggs just the way you like them. And Jonathan, who we know does not like eggs also, says those aren't eggs. And Mona says, that's just how I like them.
That's just the way I like them.
Yeah. So she got French toast, which technically is still egg. I mean, there's egg on the outside.
Well, as we're saying, eggs the way you like them.
That's true.
French toast,
right?
Which
French
is
toast.
the way you make.
Where you can barely taste the egg.
To make French toast. Mona.
So now in the script, which is not in this opening scene, Samantha takes a bite of her breakfast and then starts doing a cheer. Oh. And it's because she's practicing for her big state drill team finals. So they bring up the drill team here a little earlier in the script, but that was cut out of this episode. So instead we go straight to Angela coming in the kitchen, all dressed for work, and she says good morning. And another thing that I thought was cute in the script is that it just says they ad-lib good mornings, which makes sense. Like, why would you really want a script?
Right.
It's much more natural for them to all just be like talking over each other and say good morning. So Tony asks her what she would like for breakfast, and she says just juice and coffee. And he shows off a little bit by whipping a little dinner napkin that he has over her breakfast.
Juice and
yes, and it is in fact just juice and coffee.
Wow,
it's 2 years. He knows her, right?
Yeah. Well, he should.
It's all
2
she's
years.
Had for breakfast for 2 years. So Angela taps on her glass. She would like to make a toast. And the toast is that Tony and Samantha have now been there for 2 years. And the anniversary is coming up, and she would like them to all have a special dinner. So they're all very excited. Where are we going? This is awesome. She says it's a week from Friday, and I'll be cooking.
And immediately sucks the air right out of the room.
Right. As soon as she says she'll be cooking, everybody's like, oh.
No.
So Sam is the first to say that she can't make it. And Tony's like, come. Okay.
Yeah, right. No, I'm sorry. Wait, I was going to say what you were going to say.
Well, yeah, Tony's like, come on, it's not that bad.
Right.
Cooking's
not that bad.
He says we'll stock up on Pepto-Bismol. But Sam says, no, I can't go because next weekend I'm going to New London for the drill team championship, which ties into her doing the little cheer in the script, but didn't make the episode. But
it's interesting.
But I was thinking, if your kid is in the drill team state finals, aren't you going to that?
Yeah, I think everybody's going.
Yeah. Like, they're just like, oh, that's cool. I didn't even know you were doing
fun.
that. And we're not coming to watch you. So have a good time.
I hope you do well.
Right. So she says that she has that. And then Angela's like, well, how about then following Friday? Mona says, no good. I have a wet t-shirt contest.
Of course Mona has a wet t-shirt contest. What other 50? What is Mona? 50-something
Yeah,
years
at
old?
this point, I'd say she's 57, 58.
Yeah, going to a wet T-shirt
Yeah,
contest.
hey, why not?
I know, right? Sure.
Then she says, "What about Saturday?" And Tony can't because that's his bowling night. He's got to go hang out with Herb Whitner.
Oh yeah, of course, because that's the big bowling team.
And now Angela's getting a little bummed because she's like, "Well, I really want to cook this special dinner. Okay, let's just do it next month." But Sam, she figures out she can save the day here if she just excludes herself. Then everybody else can have the dinner. She doesn't have to eat it, and Angela won't be sad. So Sam's like, "Don't change it on my account. You guys go ahead, and I'll send you an anniversary card from New London." And then she looks at her dad and says, "Also a get well card."
Again, a poke at Angela's cooking.
Right, and a peek at what actually will happen in this episode.
That's right.
So, in the script, there's another little piece that's cut out, which is Tony saying, "Or we could just do what we did last year." Angela says, "I forgot it last year." And Tony says, "I know."
That's actually funny.
It is.
That would have been funny if they had left that in.
Yeah, so I know that these episodes are cut down for syndication. So most of what we see streaming is never the actual cut that originally aired on broadcast. But a lot of them are pretty close. But I actually don't know if these scenes were not shot or if they've just been cut. If they were cut in the editing process, right, or if they've been cut out of syndication.
That's a good point. Yeah, for one reason or another. But
we'll never know unless they actually release these shows on DVD. So,
which that equals we'll never know.
Right now, unless the Ruby. Why can't I talk?
Have another.
That's another thing I noticed when I listen back to these is I say so many words wrong. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. It could be me.
Unless the reboot does well, and then they get all of the series on DVD.
You think I would notice if you said words wrong, but I don't.
No,
we just cruise right along.
We do. I know. I said somebody's name completely wrong on the last one, and I was like, I had no idea.
I wouldn't be surprised if I repeated their name wrong, not knowing that you said it in the first place. That sounds like something I would do.
So now it's Friday.
Yeah.
And it's Friday, the actual anniversary day.
Yeah.
Tony's singing a little happy anniversary to me song.
Right, whatever that's about.
He's very excited.
But to the tune of Happy Birthday.
Right.
And then he can't go in the kitchen because it's on.
Right. Yeah. So he pushes on the kitchen door and it won't open.
Emerald's in there doing his thing.
So he's like, "Angela," and she's yelling, "Go away." And he's worried, is everything okay? She's like, "I'm cooking." So he's like, "Okay." And he asks her, "Did you figure out how to use the meat grinder?" And she says, "I'm an intelligent, capable woman. I can read directions and use a simple kitchen appliance."
Cut to.
Right. Cut to her stuck in the meat grinder. So
what's awesome is that he could just easily pull that kitchen door open. It opens both ways.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. But you'd have to cram your fingers in like the crease to try to get a grip on it.
Yeah, Tony Danza could figure it out.
True.
I mean, Tony Micelli.
But
anyway, sorry. Yeah, so the tie's in the meat grinder.
Yeah, so she's grinding up meat
and her tie.
To make pate, I guess. So she's making beef Wellington, but I'm not exactly sure. I know beef Wellington's some kind of beef wrapped in like a pastry.
In a pastry, yeah. But do you grind it up?
Maybe it's pate and that's for a side dish or something. I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, we won't try to understand it.
Yeah.
But I mean, side note, why? I mean, if I'm cooking a meal, I'm not wearing a tie.
Well, Angela doesn't ever not. I mean, she's dressed up all the time.
Yeah, but why? But wearing a tie, trying to cook a meal.
Maybe she just got home from work.
But I got it. I can't
Although,
even
you know what? I think she took Friday off. There's no way she could have gotten this meal done.
You can't cook a whole beef Wellington and work.
No, not Angela, unless she's working from home that day. But I mean,
why is she wearing a tie?
Because Angela would wear a tie to the pool. Like, that's just Angela.
It just seems odd.
Yeah. So she's now stuck in the meat grinder. She somehow fed her tie into the top of the meat grinder as she was going along, and now she can't get it out. So
Again.
her mother comes in, and she's relieved to see her, like, oh, thank goodness. Hi, Mother. And Mona doesn't even notice at first or just ignores what's going on and says,
It just doesn't care.
I'm filling out my organ donor card on my new driver's license. Anything you want dibs on. And the way she's positioned, Angela's face is like right at her boob level as she's saying this. And
Oh, that's fine. I didn't even notice that. That's funny.
and Angela's like, have you noticed that I'm stuck in the meat grinder? So Mona she doesn't even like play. She just goes straight over to the drawer, gets out a pair of scissors, and cuts the tie.
All right. Like, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know if she thought she would help her reverse it, but Angela couldn't go get the scissors, so thank goodness Mona
That's a
showed
good
up.
point. And she was trying to pull. Maybe
And-
she would have reversed the meat grinder.
The tie still looks cute though now that it's cut. It looks like just sort of a little bow or something.
Yeah, sure.
But Mona's like, you're my daughter and I love you and you're great at a lot of things, but cooking is not one of them. So she's like, please just let Tony take this over.
Nope.
But Angela says he's cooked for me every day for 2 years. So like it's my turn. And Mona's like, this is how you repay him.
But it's also very nice. It's a nice
It is a very nice gesture.
For the anniversary that she actually cooks the meal and not
Right.
Tony.
It would have been a nicer gesture if she had just ordered sushi. So out in the
or
living
taking
room,
them out to dinner.
Tony is, and
Shining the silver.
yeah, and I was curious as to if this was really in the script, and it is. So yeah, he's polishing the silver, and then he looks at himself in it and says he'd make a great silver dollar.
Yeah. It's
Very Tony. So if you look in this shot, you can see that a portion of Tony Danza's eyebrow is missing. So what I've been able to gather from the internet is that it was from a role. I guess, I don't know if it was a fight scene or something, and maybe he had some sort of like prosthetic over his eyebrow, but they had to shave like part of his eyebrow.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But I don't understand why they wouldn't have just colored it in a little bit. With some
Just throw them out there.
Glossier boy brow or something. So it like
I don't think they had Glossier boy brow then.
that's a good point.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that.
Like make it look a little less noticeable. I really noticed it in the hospital scenes, but then we looked at the beginning of the
Then we
episode.
were wow, yeah.
Yeah, and it is still missing here. Okay, so he's admiring just how handsome he is and how great he would look on a silver dollar.
A silver dollar, which makes no sense. It's just a silver platter that he's looking at himself in. Oh, great on a silver dollar.
When Jonathan comes downstairs in his full trailblazer little
I know.
uniform, which I guess is like
It's the Boy Scouts.
yeah,
right?
it's supposed to be Boy Scouts,
But it's
they're not.
Trailblazers. Oh, gosh.
And he says, "You remember the camp out this weekend?" And he's like, "Yeah, the one you're not going to because you don't like to sleep on the ground and you don't want to make your own bathroom."
I know.
I'm with you, Jonathan. And he's like, "No, well, Mom let me go." And the doorbell rings and he answers it. And Tony's like, "Well, why? I don't know that you're going to be able to hold it that long. Like, why do you want to go?"
Right.
But when they answer the doorbell, it's because Jenny Whitner is standing there in her little Trailblazers uniform.
So I guess the Trailblazers were,
Oh, yeah, that's a good
wasn't
point.
like the
Yeah,
Girl Scout and Boy
boys
Scouts. It
girls.
was
Yeah.
just Trailblazers.
Just like, yeah.
We're blazing trails whether we're male or female.
I like that.
I do too.
And so it's a sort of co-ed camp weekend. And so now, since Jenny Whitner is showing interest in him, he's ready to go. He wants to go. So,
Poor little Jonathan. And I like he's got his little raccoon hat on.
I know. It's so cute. So Tony's like, "Don't worry. I'll put the fix in with your mom."
Whatever that means.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. So Tony's
the
like,
fix in.
I get it, buddy. And then Jonathan says, "You should see her without her glasses."
It's always a
So-
deflating moment in these episodes.
So there was another part of the script that was cut. He didn't say that part, but instead he says to Jenny, "Do you want to help me pack my duffel bag?" She says, "Sure." And then to Tony, she says, "I can't say a no to a man in uniform." And then she runs up the stairs to
That's
Jonathan's
much better
room
than the glasses comment.
to go get to help him pack his duffel bag, and then Jonathan says to Tony, "I love those socks."
I mean,
So
what? Wait a minute, what?
I don't know if they thought maybe the sock comment about
dirty.
a little girl might be too creepy.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
But I don't know. I don't like the glasses comment only because then the point that it's saying is like, oh, you look more attractive without glasses on. So I don't know. It's fine. It's benign. It was the 80s, but I
Right.
think this is just another something that people realize more today
We got to move on
than
from
we
it.
did
We got to let it go.
back then. Okay, so
I'll put the fix in with your mom.
So now we've lost Jonathan. So now Samantha
All right.
will not be at the anniversary dinner. Jonathan will not be at the anniversary dinner.
So who's left?
Tony goes into the kitchen where Mona and Angela are in there. Angela's putting the finishing touches on her dinner tonight.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. Okay. So wait. According to the script may have just helped us out here. Angela is spreading pate on the puff pastry. So maybe you wrap
So
the
the
meat
beef-
in the pastry and then you put the pate on top of the pastry.
All right.
You don't eat beef, or maybe I would try this. So,
Yeah.
I mean, any kind of meat wrapped in bread.
Well, that's
I'm all
definitely a beef stroganoff. No, not a beef
Wellington.
stroganoff. I mean, I'm sorry, beef Wellington.
Yeah,
Right? When it's wrapped in pastry.
I think so.
I mean, anything wrapped in pastry sounds fantastic. But
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
eat
all-
red meat, so
I'm all
what
in.
do I know?
So Tony's like, wow, this is looking great. You got your beef, you got your pate, you got your pastry. He's like, you have all the ingredients you need here.
You're shaping up for a good night.
Then he says, what happened to your tie?
I know. Because her tie's about 2 inches
Yeah.
long now.
It just looks like a tassel.
And still, what is she wearing to prepare? Man,
She's wearing Angela clothes,
I
but
know,
look,
I
and
know,
she
I can't
even
get
has
past
a
it.
little Angela apron. Like,
I
there's,
know. It's like got little.
it's not like
doilies
she's just
on it.
wearing Tony's apron.
No.
Because Tony's not wearing that apron. It's
She's wearing her apron that she probably purchased at some point.
like, right, when she first got married and thought she may cook, and she does not.
Yeah, I suppose. Eh.
So Tony breaks the news to Angela that Jonathan's not going to make it.
Yeah.
So now Angela's a little bummed. She's like, it's supposed to be special. He has to be there. It's our anniversary. And Tony says it's a co-ed camp out.
But I mean,
So-
at this point too, like she is like tackling that piece of beef, trying to tie a knot around it, and it's rolling around. It almost looks like it's a little live piece of meat there rolling around.
It's funny you say that.
And then like
because
potatoes or something are flying off of it.
in
What's
the
happening there?
script, it says that Angela resumes her cooking. She starts to tie her string around the fillet of beef as if she's wrapping a present. And Mona says, why don't you just take that to gift wrap? So maybe she was being all aggressive with it to like lead up to that line that either got
that
cut
didn't happen.
or
Okay.
wasn't shot.
Man.
But yeah. So
Shows what I know.
now it is nighttime.
Yeah.
And there's also another part cut out of the script where there's a joke about how dinner is supposed to be at 8 p.m. precisely.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tony says to Mona, $5 we don't see meat before 8:30. And Mona says 9 and it's burnt.
Uh-huh.
So
I feel like that could have been a better Mona joke there.
then the wrapping the,
Well, he says $5 says we don't see meat before 8.
yeah.
Is that what he says?
Yeah. Oh,
And then I could see Mona saying, I bet I'll see some earlier or something. That would have been better. That would have been more Mona, right?
that is true. That is true, yes.
Not on my watch or something, or I don't know what she would have said, but a Mona would have
That
been
is
more
true.
of a Mona
Anything
joke.
about seeing meat before
Exactly,
8:30, and Mona's going to
exactly.
jump all over that.
Yeah, and maybe that's more of a joke for now.
So, okay, now it is the night of, it is 8
Oh,
o'clock.
right, the big night.
Yeah. So
Angela's
it's later
got her
that evening.
Really fancy dress on.
Right. She changed out of her fancy cooking attire into her more fancy dinner
And her
attire.
hair is all done up.
Yep,
That's
she's all
very
done
nice.
up. Okay, so I want to read the description of the stage directions that were not done.
Oh, okay,
here.
good. I
So-
look forward to this.
It says the table is set up in the living room, 3 place settings with 3 carefully arranged salads. Angela, dressed very nicely and wearing an apron, lights the candles and stands back to look at her work. Wanting everything to be perfect, she moves a flower arrangement from the side table to the dinner table and exits into the kitchen. Tony, dressed in slacks and a sports coat, comes downstairs. He goes to the table, looks at it a moment. Wanting everything to be perfect, he moves the flowers back to the side table.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Angela enters, now apronless, and sees Tony. Yeah, so whether or not that was shot, I don't know. Or,
but it doesn't
no, it couldn't have been shot.
I don't even think it was shot.
Or if it was an alternative
he comes downstairs,
take.
She's there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then he just basically says that, I got to admit, it's 8 o'clock.
Right.
Dinner's ready.
Yep. Yeah, so when he comes in, she's already standing in there at the table. They both tell each other that they look very nice. And they're commenting on, like...
What they're both wearing, you know?
What?
Like, I don't know, it's just funny. Like,
yeah, Angela's
I guess now it was then it was fancy.
Yeah, like this is kind of Tony's like casual dressed up for dinner look.
He's got his pleated pants on.
I'm surprised he didn't have a suit.
It could be worse. It could be a lot worse.
Because, before he would have just been in a suit, I think.
That's true. Like this is his very casual look.
Right. So Mona comes in. And after they've just complimented each other on how nice they look, she walks in wearing clam diggers, a baggy sweatshirt, and some high-top tennis shoes, and she's carrying a bucket.
And there's a reason she's wearing clam diggers and carrying a bucket.
So she tells them happy anniversary, and Tony's like, you didn't tell me this party was bring your own bucket. Mm-hmm. So Angela's like, Mother, I said dinner would be informal, but this is a little much.
I know, Angela's defended that.
Right. So
Mona's not in proper clothes for dinner at her own house.
Well, and it gets even worse because now she's like, oh, about dinner, I got a better offer. I'm going to a clam bake. And Angela's like, what? So
this is kind of a funny part.
Yeah. When Angela's like, what do you mean? Mona says, clam bake, Angela.
Bake.
First you dig for clams, and then you bake them. And then as she walks away, she makes a fantastic, crossing her eyes.
Cross-eyed look.
And that is not in the script. So that's all.
Oh, that was good.
It's all Catherine Hellman just doing a little improvisation there.
And then I love that Angela's like, you're going to miss my beef Wellington.
Right.
Like, you know that. And then Mona says, that's another plus.
Right.
Like she didn't want to be there in the first place for it.
Whether or not there even is a clam bake, who knows? I guess maybe. But Mona has only done this because now that it's just the three of them, she's like, I'm going to get myself out of here.
Oh, yeah. This was Mona's way of moving along to get
they would have more
alone.
Fun just being alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Come on.
And so Mona says, besides, you don't need me around while you two celebrate. Mm-hmm. So Angela's, saying that's nothing like that. It's just a simple gesture of gratitude.
Employer to employee.
Yeah, employer to employee. And then Mona says, who am I to stand in the way of true employment? So she leaves, and Tony says something about Mona go make some waves.
Yeah, go make some waves, Mona.
And she says, you bet, kid. But I'm surprised she didn't say you too or something like that also.
I know, that would have been better.
Now, that's not in the script. So either that was made up on set or improvised. I don't know. So now Angela's like, okay, well, guess it's just us.
Right.
And Tony's like, yep, just us. So they grab some champagne. They go over to the table. They make a couple little awkward jokes about, you don't celebrate an anniversary every day. No, probably only once a year.
And they get their champagne.
You can definitely see Tony Danza's misplaced eyebrow in one of the shots here.
I like that Tony takes the extra salad away.
Yes, so he
That's
clears
Tony's
away
job,
the third place setting. That's true. I'm surprised he didn't even take it into the kitchen. And Angela's trying to open the champagne, and it pops and hits a light in the ceiling, I'm guessing.
That apparently makes the whole room dark.
Right. So now the whole room is dim. And Tony's like, oh, that's great, but if you wanted to dim the lights, there's a switch on the wall that does that. So they start pouring the champagne, and they sit down. And Angela says, well, I was going to make a speech for the family, but it seems kind of silly now. So Tony's like, no, I really want to hear it. Like, I want the whole,
like the whole experience. Right.
Yeah. So she's like, okay. So
the full treatment is actually what he says.
Yeah. So she's like, okay. So she stands up. She takes a little speach out.
She's a little paper.
She's written down a little piece of paper.
And then she hits the glass.
Right.
Ting, 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 ting.
Everyone
there's
to pay
a bunch
attention.
of people there.
So she goes on to say, like, it's been 2 years, and I just want to thank you for coming into my life. And not just you and Sam, and not just me, Jonathan and Mothers too.
Right.
And then she's like getting a little embarrassed here. So she's like, this doesn't really make any sense. And Tony's like, no, go on. But what's a cute ad lib here is when she is talking about Jonathan and Mother, it's not in the script that Tony's like, hi guys. He looks over to where they would be sitting if they were there.
That's right.
Which is cute. So he's trying to get her to go on. And then Angela's like, okay, well, this is where I say some nice things about Sam. And then, okay, and this is where I would say some nice things about you. And she's trying to rush through it because she's really feeling awkward now and she doesn't want to do this.
Right.
She's like, and then at the end, I just end it by saying how much I've grown to care about you. And Tony's like, that would be me and Sam. And she's like, mostly Sam. So they do a little toast and then they sit down. So they go on to eat dinner. We don't see any of that. So they do sort of like a little, what is it? Did they show the outside of the house? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a little outside shot of B-roll to show that time has passed.
And he's pouring more champagne.
Yeah. So now they've eaten dinner and they're pouring more champagne. He says, I gotta say that was much better than I expected. And Angela's like, oh, great. Would you like more? And he says, no.
Yeah, I'm good.
So she's like, you hated it. And he says, I didn't hate it. But I just have one question. What were the little pink thread-like things in the pate?
God. So gross.
Yeah. She's like, what do they taste like? And he said, polyester blend. And then she says, I beg your pardon. That tie was 100% silk. And she starts laughing. So they're like having a good time. They're joking around. They're laughing. So Tony gets a little quiet again. And then he says, this is really great. Like, how many housekeepers would get this kind of treatment from their boss? And Angela says, well, Tony, you're not exactly just a housekeeper. And Tony says, you're not exactly just a boss. So kind of getting into they're getting a little into some dangerous territory here. But I love what the scene, the prompts for the actors here. It says, Angela says, Tony, you've been living here for 2 years now. And the prompt that Judith Light was given is, I dare you. So I think she's kind of saying like, okay, so she says, Tony, you've been living here for 2 years now. And then in parentheses, it says, I dare you. And her next line is, what exactly do you think we are? So I like that because it's sort of like, are you going to answer this? Like,
right.
Is this going to start something? And then the prompt for Tony Danza for his reply is to complain at this. So he says, okay, Angela, well, you want to know what I think. And she says, that's why I asked. So a little bit is cut out in the script here because I think there's an added piece where he's like, oh, man, like thinking about it. And he goes, I don't know. What do you think? And she says, I asked first or something like that. So then he says, okay, you want to know what I think? I think maybe we should take this bottle of champagne over to the fireplace.
I know. Interesting.
And discuss it. And then she says, maybe we should. So, like, that's pretty bold.
Yeah.
So if they're going to get up now.
Something's supposed to happen.
Right. Go over to the fireplace with the bottle of champagne. They've both been drinking quite a bit already.
Yeah.
And they're going to discuss
down the champagne.
Also, like, what is it that they say now? That, like, when guys do something super hot, that you could get pregnant by it, basically? You have to see memes going around. Yeah. When he does the little lean on the champagne bottle and says, discuss it, like, Angela's underwear probably should have just fallen off at that point.
Okay.
Like, it is a very suggestive, like, look to her.
Right.
But
then all
in
hell
true
breaks
Who's
loose.
the Boss style, he stands up.
My stomach.
Right. And then he grabs his stomach.
It's killing me.
Right. And he says, like, oh, my stomach hurts or whatever. And then, yeah, it's killing
Her
me.
response.
Her response is, oh my God, I poisoned you. Oh, it's so funny. So he, like,
Like, how bad could the cooking be?
Right.
With the exception of the Thai and the pate or whatever.
Yeah, even that's not going to hurt you.
I guess, yeah.
So she's helping him over to the couch, and she's like, you're burning up. I'm calling the doctor. No macho arguments. You're too sick. You need professional attention. And Tony's like, oh, Angela, we just called the doctor.
Call the doctor already.
So she runs over to the phone. So now we go into the kitchen where we see Mona walk in with her little empty clam bake bucket.
No.
And she's muttering
apparently
to
the
herself.
clam bake didn't go well.
Yeah, it's some clam bake. I wonder if there's any leftovers. So they must not have found any clams. Where do you go in Connecticut for a clam bake?
Oh, it's got to be. I mean, they're near water,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. But
So it's got to be a place for.
I guess it's May, so it's not that cold.
Clamming. Is it clamming?
I have no idea. I know.
Clam.
I don't understand or know
Clam
anything
digging,
about
I guess.
digging for
She had
clams.
clam diggers on, so she's going clam digging.
What is so the clam diggers? Just so your pants don't get wet?
Yeah, because it's like high
Oh,
waters.
high waters. Okay.
Yeah, so.
So she comes in. She starts looking around the kitchen, looking for leftovers, and she hears Tony moaning from the living room. Oh, Angela. And she stops in her tracks. Now, what's funny, too, is in the script, Tony's next line is, oh, hurry.
Right.
But in the episode, I think he just says, like, oh, like he's just making what sounds like orgasm sounds or some sort of leading to orgasm sounds. And so Mona's like, oh, happy anniversary.
Right.
So she's super excited. But I think that was a pretty... I mean, as a kid, I guess you don't get it. You just don't really understand.
Well, I think you get that, like, something's going on between the two of them, I guess.
Yeah, or you just think, like,
not.
oh, you know why he's yelling. He's yelling because his stomach hurts. So you don't really get the subtext of what
wonder
she
what the hell
thinks
Mona's doing.
Right. So I
Right?
think you're wondering, you mean like as a kid, you're wondering why
Like,
Mona
why
thinks
she's-
that's
oh,
Yeah. So I
it
can
is what
see
it
you
is.
thinking like, oh, like what does that mean? But not really getting it. But I do still feel like that's pretty bold for an 8 p.m. family show. Because
I
they're
agree.
clearly
I agree.
trying to make it sound like that's what.
Right.
Because in the script it says, oh, hurry, which could make it seem...
What does that mean?
I know, like, does he want her to go faster, or does that give you the indication that they're not actually doing? You know, that's more of an
Like,
indication
hurry,
that
like, get your
he's
clothes
not-
off.
Well, I mean, if he's,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I would imagine by the noises he's making, if they were actually doing anything, that clothes would have already been off.
Well,
But
yeah.
I do think it was bold of them to not go with the oh hurry line, which makes it seem a little less sexual, and then just going straight on with making moaning noises. So
I know, but then, like, Mona runs out.
right, and I'm really surprised she didn't try to peek through the door. And like Mona,
I don't know.
like,
I'm glad
Mona's
she didn't try to
creepy
peek through
enough,
the door.
or bold enough that she would probably try to look to see.
Well, here's the thing, like, that I have concerns about, or, like, maybe, like, Mona, like, do you think if Tony's going to take Angela to Pound Town, it's going to be in the middle of the living room? Like, don't you think that would have escalated and gone upstairs into the bedroom?
Oh,
Like,
they're
no,
home
it's
alone.
on. We are doing this on the couch. The first time we're gonna
that's true,
have
yeah.
sex, it's on the couch. It's in the middle of the living room where anybody could come in, and I don't know. It
True.
just,
No,
it just
that's-
seemed odd to me that.
Well, that's
Mona
a very
was like
romantic
but that's
notion of
Mona
you.
though. But that's also Mona,
Right,
You know what I mean? Like
right.
anything can happen.
Oh,
it's on,
absolutely.
you know. So
Right.
yeah, I would think it would be upstairs at a bed with the two of them.
That's true. That is
Like,
more
we're gonna do it over to
romantic.
this couch. You know what I mean? Like, what's happening?
Oh my
Anyway.
god. Well, Mona
Just an
doesn't
observation.
care. Mona doesn't care how it happens.
I know, she just wants
it to happen.
They can have the romantic stuff later.
Right.
Right now, do it over the dining room table.
She's like, ooh, happy anniversary. And so she tiptoes out and leaves them there. Maybe she went to In-N-Out Burger instead. Or
guess so.
she went and microwaved.
Or maybe went to her place.
Yeah, she microwaved a
Lean
Hungry
Cuisine
Man.
yeah.
Lean Cuisine. Yeah, that makes
I don't
more
know.
sense.
I have no idea what was around then. What microwave dinner was then.
So
she leaves.
And now we see a hospital setting. So Angela's pacing back and forth, and a doctor enters and asks.
What's great is, and I just noticed this in blank because we like to watch it as we do the show,
Right.
is that it says the bomb shot says hospital. There's no like it's just a wide shot of the.
Oh, right.
It's a wide shot of the hospital and up and it just says hospital,
This is
on
hospital.
the building.
Yeah, doesn't
It's
say
so
like
silly. What kind of
a
hospital?
general
is there?
hospital.
No, it's
or,
just hospital.
or Tarzana.
It's
whatever.
just so
whatever,
it's
yeah.
letting you know they are at the hospital.
We're at the hospital now. Things have gone south. So the doctor comes out. He asks for Miss Bauer. She says yes, and he's like, "It looks like your friend's appendix is about to burst." So Angela's
And the first thing
like,
I noticed about this doctor is he's got a mask around his neck. Like, I never would have thought about that, but with the pandemic going on.
"Oh, that's true."
I
yeah,
just see he has a mask
immediately
around his
picture
neck.
the mask. You see the mask,
Right.
Yeah, so that is funny. He's also very tall.
I know, he's a very tall man.
And
He was
Angela's-
confused by Angela.
Right, because she's like, his appendix, thank God. And he's like, beg
He's
your
like, what?
pardon? Yeah. So then she asks him, she says, I'm just happy it wasn't food poisoning.
He's like, what?
And then she's thinking, and she's like, cooking couldn't do that to an appendix, right?
And he's like, no. And she's like, what about really bad cooking?
So she's still concerned that
no.
she could have possibly poisoned Tony. So in the actual like hospital room where Tony's getting prepped for surgery, a nurse is giving him a shot in his butt.
I know, and this nurse does not give a shit.
No.
She's just like...
She doesn't have the best bedside manner, but
Not
she's
at
pretty
all.
funny. So I just want to point out, so this lady's name is Lily Lehman.
Mm-hmm.
Prolific, is prolific the right word? Extensive character actor.
Mm-hmm.
She had done a lot of like guest spots on shows in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, okay.
And then I noticed that she's also listed for a show that we watched called Men of a Certain Age. It wasn't on very long, but remember it was like
Yeah,
Ray
TBS.
Romano and a few, yeah. We really liked that show. Yeah.
Bakula. I really enjoyed that show.
But I thought maybe she was one of the main character's wives, but she's not. So she was in like 6 episodes, but I don't remember her from that. But if we ever can find that show again, I'd be interested to see who she
It's
played.
probably buried for life.
But actually, I'm sorry. I heard some other people talking about that on a podcast I listened to, and I believe it's on HBO Max.
Oh, really?
The old episodes, yeah.
Okay. I don't even know. I think we finished it, but I don't remember.
I think we did. So the character's name, though, is Nurse Honigblum, which is the last name of a writer. So I just wanted to point that out that I noticed. Okay, so, she's giving him a shot in the butt, and this shot, I guess, is like, I don't know, leading up to whatever they're going to use to knock him out?
And I think the shot, it does knock him out, right?
I mean, really?
'Cause he
Is that
starts
what they used to
getting-
do?
I don't know.
Because I remember...
She says, this should make you feel better. He was like, oh! And then...
But like when you
I
go
think
into
he starts
surgery,
to-
don't they put that thing? They put the thing over your face, and then they say count to 10, and you usually don't get through all the numbers.
No, that's when you go to the dentist.
No, that's when I. All right, well, here's my
Well, that was the
limited
dentist's
knowledge of
office.
surgery. I had my appendix out.
But is that how they put you to sleep?
Yes, like
They put something over your face?
yeah. So remember, I panicked.
Well, Tony got a shot in the ass, and that was it.
Yeah.
Because that's all they do, and then he gets
And then he like passes out. But I don't know if that was just like the precursor to the actual anesthesia. I don't know, because normally an anesthesiologist is in charge, but this is TV. But I do remember they gave me like an Ativan or something because I was really scared. And then they roll you into the room, and then they put a little mask over your face, and they say count to 10 or count down from 10. And then the next thing I knew, I woke up. So,
I know, but you were fine until you heard that other man screaming.
yeah. This is a whole side appendix story, but
I know it is. But you were fine, and then there was a person coming out of the surgery who was out of his mind screaming, and that's when you panicked. Otherwise, you were fine.
There were 2 of us that night that needed to have an emergency appendectomy. It was me and one other man. He was ahead of me. And I guess because we were back to back and the same doctor was doing it, they wheeled me into the room when they wheeled him out. Yeah.
And I was in there with you, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening?
The guy started freaking out when he came out of anesthesia, and he was flailing his arms and he was screaming. And I had never had surgery before, and I started panicking because I didn't know what the heck was happening to him, and I was worried that's going to happen to me.
Right.
So they were like, here's an Ativan, and we're sorry we brought you in here. And then I was fine. But anyway.
Sorry.
But yeah, so I was just confused by the shot in the butt because I just thought that was interesting. But anyway,
Anytime they ask you to take your pants down in the hospital, you should be concerned. Especially if it doesn't have anything to do with anything in the lower body.
So Tony says, this appendix stuff's pretty routine, right? And the nurse says, well, as with any major surgery, there's always a chance of death. And Tony's like, thanks.
What?
Right. So she leaves and Angela comes in. And Angela's like, hi. And she tells Tony, it looks like it wasn't my cooking after all.
She's so happy about that.
And even Tony's like, yeah, I was kind of surprised. So she asks him if he's scared, and he says no. And then the doctor comes in and says, all aboard for major surgery. Now, in the script, Tony says, I'm sorry. Angela says, are you scared? He says, me? No. What do I have to be scared about? Then the doctor comes in and says, all aboard for major surgery. And in the script, it just says, oh, that. Mm-hmm. But he must have ad-libbed, hold my hand, where he gets all nervous. So that was cute. So they put Tony on the gurney to wheel him.
But at some point, doesn't he... Somebody says something about it being a routine surgery, and he's like, yes, unless you die. The doctor says the same thing.
Yes.
Or is that coming up?
It is coming up, yeah.
Spoiler alert.
The nurse says it first.
Right, I know he says it, but I thought we already passed.
And then, so... Angela's like, don't worry, you're going to be okay. You have to be, what would I do without you? And Tony says, you'd be okay. It might take a while, but eventually you'd learn how to use the vacuum. So Tony's starting to get groggy now because of the shot in his butt.
Right.
So the doctor's asking how he's feeling, and he's like, I don't know, it says something different in the script than what he actually says, but he's basically to the effect that he's starting to get groggy. And then... the doctor says, now, Tony, I want you to know an appendectomy is a fairly routine procedure, but as with any major surgery, there's always a chance of death. And Tony says, who picked this hospital?
I know.
Which is true. I don't think they would ever actually say that to
Nobody
you at the
would say that.
And Angela's like, don't worry, I'm going to be here when it's over, when they wheel you out, and you're alive, and you're fine. So Tony, as they're getting ready to leave, is telling Angela, like, listen, if anything happens to me, please take care of Sam. And Angela's like, nothing is going to happen to you. And he's like, no, you need to listen to me. Like, I couldn't have done this without you. Sam really needs a woman, and thank you for helping her grow up. And he's basically saying, like, you need to tell me right now that you'll take care of my daughter. So Angela says, like, I'd be honored to take care of Sam. Mm-hmm. And so... he says, thank you. And then as they're rolling him out, he says to Angela, hey, Angela, I love you. So he kind of falls asleep. Right. So it was funny when we watched this episode, too, because you were like, what? And then Angela goes, what?
What?
So she rushes back out in the hallway. She's trying to get them to wake him back up so that she can ask him if he said what she thinks he just said.
The doctor's funny, too.
Right. He's like, it doesn't really matter to me, but he would enjoy this more if he was asleep.
Surgery more if he slept.
And the shot that they take over the doctor's shoulder, he's so tall that it's like looking straight down onto Judith.
I know, it's crazy.
It's funny. So they wheel him out. Angela must go home. So now it's the next morning. And Angela's... laying her head on the kitchen table and just sort of passed out, sleeping. And Mona walks in. She quietly goes over, puts her head, sits down next to her. She's thinking, wow, she is exhausted from last night. So Mona, after being all quiet, just yells, "Wake up!" as loud as she can in Angela's ear.
Mona's thinking Angela's so tired from all the living room sex that she needs to wake up. Tony really, they went to all the furniture.
Right, and now Tony, who knows where he is?
Right.
Apparently he's still laid out in the living room.
He could be ass up by the fireplace.
So Mona's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, did I wake you?"
Right.
And so Angela's like, "I didn't sleep all night long." And the parentheses for Katherine Hellman here as her direction is, "This is better than I thought," in parentheses, which is funny.
That's great.
So she's like, "Really? All night long?" And she's like, "How's Tony?" And then Angela says, "He's in the hospital."
I know, which is even worse.
Yeah. And the parentheses next to Katherine Hellman for her next line is, in parentheses, "her little Angela," which is funny.
That is funny.
So she says, "What did you do to him?" And Angela says, "His appendix burst."
She's
and Mona's
I've never heard of that before, Mona. A hernia, maybe. Like, what's happening in Mona's bedroom?
Right.
Hernia.
But Angela says, "No, Tony got sick right after dinner. They took his appendix out at 2:00 this morning." And so now it dawns on Mona that there was
Something
no sex
really
and something really did happen. Yeah, so
There's no living room sex.
Right, she's all serious now. Is he all right? Angela's like, "He's fine. The doctor said he'll probably sleep for another few hours." So then Mona says, "So everything's okay?" And Angela says, "No, everything is a mess because Tony told me that he loved me." And now Mona's back to, "Oh, this is looking up again."
Right,
Okay.
The plot thickens,
Yeah.
is what she says.
So she asks Angela what she said to him, and Angela says nothing because he was unconscious at the time. And Mona's like, "That explains it." So she asks Angela, "How do you feel about him?" And Angela says, "He's my housekeeper. He's from Brooklyn. We're totally different."
And now we're back to that.
Right, so-
like a Connecticut socialite can't get with the guy from Brooklyn.
But here's the thing. So last night, she was ready to get up with that bottle of champagne and go sit by the
let's sit by the
fireplace
and knock
and
this
discuss it. And now this morning, it's like, "What are you talking about? He's my housekeeper. He's from Brooklyn. We're totally different."
Right.
But, like, I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit of the effects of the alcohol, and in the daylight, this is seeming a little different.
I guess.
So, yeah. Or it's
sleeping
because
on
we
the
need to
kitchen
drag this
table.
out for 7 more years. So,
Or that. Yeah, that's probably what it is.
but Mona basically says, "You're not answering the question, do you love him?" And I love this next line from Angela because this basically sums up the entire show for them.
Exactly.
Which is, Angela says, "What if I did love him and things didn't work out and we ended up not even liking each other and he moved to another state and Jonathan never saw him again and I never saw Sam and I couldn't figure out how to use the vacuum."
right. When she adds that bit of funny to it.
Right.
But still, yeah, that's pretty much what the thought process is. Like, what if it didn't work out? Then what?
Because that's the thing, like, I mean, anytime you start dating someone, I mean, most of the people that you dated before we met, obviously all of the people you dated before we met, ended in some way, you know? So it's
yeah. Well, yes.
You just have to think, like, if you're not really sure that this is going to work out for the long run, then is it worth taking a chance? Because it will ruin everything. And they have basically made this little fake family, but that will be over. But the other reality, too, is that if you keep going in this direction, eventually one of you is going to meet someone. So this family is not going to stay intact one way or the other.
That's true.
So
Like,
do you
what if
take the
Tony met
chance?
somebody and got married?
Right. Or
He's
Angela.
leaving. Or if she met somebody, Tony's out. I
Right,
mean,
because you can't just,
live
like,
there.
have your husband
That's
living
true.
there and then, which is kind of what happened when Michael came home shortly, but...
True.
And now Mona asks her, "But what if it worked out and it was good? Really good?" So she basically encourages Angela to talk to Tony about it. But Angela's embarrassed. Like, one, she doesn't know what to say. And two, she doesn't really know that if he understood what he was saying, if he meant what he was saying, if he will even remember it. So if she brings it up to him, she's risking, like, looking foolish if he doesn't remember it, or he just meant, like, you know, thank you.
I love
instead
you.
of right, I love you. Like,
A best bud.
right. Love you, buddy. So she says, you know, you really need to talk to him. And Angela says, I will talk to him if he brings it up. So that's where she leaves it. And Mona calls her a chicken.
Of course she does. A big chicken.
So now we're back to the hospital. Tony's in bed. And then the nurse comes in. And he's... Oh, I guess he's like calling out for Angela, or he's asking for Angela, something like that. And he looks at the nurse and he's like, oh, you're not Angela.
Yeah.
And so she's like, no. And again, this lady doesn't.
I know, she doesn't care.
She just wants to go home. She's ready for her shift to be over. She's been there all night long. I kind of don't blame her. So she's like, take it easy. You just came out of surgery. And he's like, I guess I gave everybody a pretty big scare. And she says, not me. I don't even know you. But she says, your lady friend looked pretty shook up. So Tony's like, oh, yeah, that's Angela. And she thought that she killed me with her cooking. And the nurse puts the thermometer in his mouth. And then she keeps having to take it back out because he keeps talking again.
Yeah, well, he keeps taking it out.
Right,
She's got it back in his mouth.
Yeah. So she says to him, no, she seemed to be fine with the idea that she could have tried to kill you with her food, but it was when you told her that you loved her that she got real jumpy. So he takes the thermometer out again, and he's like, what? So she says, yeah, you surprised her quite a bit, too. So Tony's like, oh, no, like, I shouldn't have said that. She's my boss. What am I going to do? And the nurse is like, you're going to put this thermometer back in your mouth.
She's getting frustrated with him.
Or I'm going to have to find another way to take your temperature.
Which we all know what that means.
Right. But so Tony's worried because he's thinking that he's ruined everything now. And that, like, Angela's going to be upset with him. And it's going to be awkward for him to still live there. So Angela comes in holding some flowers. And the nurse is like, okay, well, never mind. He's never going to keep this thermometer in his mouth now. So she just puts her hand on his head and knows that his temperature is fine because she does this all the time. So Angela comes in with some daffodils and then tries to
Tony
set
apparently
them.
likes.
Yeah, I guess so. Tony looks like a daffodil type of guy. So
He does.
He's not going with just regular carnations or something. He's fancy with his flowers. So she goes to put it on his stomach.
I know, like where he just had the surgery. I know, that was so ridiculous.
So he takes the card and he reads it. And it says, get well soon. And he's like, oh, thanks. How did you think of that? So now there is a part here in the script that is not in the episode. So he says, get well soon. How did you think of that? And she just shrugs. And he says, what is this scratched out here? And he reads L-O. And then Angela's like, oh, that's lots of luck. But I didn't think it seemed right to convey my feelings. So he's like, oh yeah, you're right. Yours truly, Angela Bauer, is much better.
Yours truly.
So it seems like she went to go write love Angela, but then was like, what if he remembers the love? And then he's going to think I'm saying that I love him back. And then what if he... So it looks like she was trying to write love and then overthought it and then just decided to scratch it out and write yours truly, Angela Bauer. So Tony says... He says about last night. And Angela's like, yeah, she's a little apprehensive. She doesn't know if he's going to bring it up or what. And he says, it was a great dinner. The whole evening was great, up until they wheeled me into surgery.
Right. Then at that point, it was bad.
Right. So then Angela takes a little bit of a leap by saying, yeah, speaking of when they wheeled you into surgery. And Tony says, yeah. And she says, you must have been pretty groggy. And he says, yes, I was. And she says, you probably don't remember anything you said. Now, the prompt for Tony Danza for his next line is, all right, he'll go for it. And so he says, well, actually, I
Interesting.
do remember saying something. And then Angela says, what was that? But then the prompt says that he can't do it. And he says, ow. And Angela says, yeah, that's what I remember too. So she says, you know, you're probably tired and I'm going to let you get some sleep. So she says that she'll be back later. So she leaves, and everything here that happens is in the script, which is that she leaves, Tony looks at the empty doorway, then he closes his eyes.
Right.
Then Angela returns and looks as if she wants to say something more, but sees that he's asleep.
Right, he rolls over and closes his eyes.
Right. So she looks at him and then leaves again, and then Tony opens his eyes, but she's not in the doorway anymore, and she's gone. So this is why I feel like this episode really has like a season finale feel here. They really let this whole scene breathe. It's, you know, it just
Right.
like a lot of
I agree.
sounds of the hospital.
Yeah.
It's kind of these poignant shots going back and forth between the two of them. So I feel like this was a good, you know, ending for this season. And I feel like, you know, the first season ended on a high.
Right.
As far as like their relationship, opened up strong on their relationship. And so now they're closing out season 2 with a strong scene here. So I want to play a quick clip. So there is a tag in the script for this episode, and I'll read it because there are a few things that tie back in, which are cute. But I want to play a clip from Tony Danza. I can't remember exactly what year this was shot, but I think it was probably, I'd say about 10 to 15 years ago, where he did an interview for the Television Academy, much like the ones that Judith Light has done that I've played before. And
okay.
he explains a little bit as to why, you know, Tony kind of felt like he wasn't right for Angela.
You know, Tony and Angela, he absolutely loved her. He was always insecure that she was above his status. He loved the fact that she was a independent woman, and even though he made fun of her cooking skills, he really was enchanted by her intelligence and about her ability to make her way in the world, you know, and deal with her mother and, you know, all the things she did. I think he had a hard time seeing himself with her. That's what I do.
So I thought that was interesting because, like, that's the motivation that Tony Danza has in his head when
Right.
he's playing this character.
Right.
Which is that, you know, he has a crush on her, or he loves her, is in love with her in some capacity.
Like something's going on, but
Yeah,
he
but he
always
just
thought
thinks, like, how...
it could never happen,
Right.
you know.
Because, you know, she dates wealthier men, businessmen, and he's probably...
He's just some guy from Brooklyn.
Right. And he probably wants her to have, you know, everything that she wants in life, and he considers her going with him sort of a sacrifice because she would always have to work as hard as she does or whatever. But like Angela works because she wants to, not because she has to. So.
Right.
But also because they need to keep them apart for 5 more years to keep this show going.
I know. It's just the real
You're
reason.
Right. I know. Is that one of our cats?
Yeah, he's yelling at us.
So there is a tag that was written, which I'll read through because I thought was pretty cute. So I'm glad that they didn't do it because I do like the way that this episode ended.
Yeah, which is him laying in the hospital room and Angela leaving. No, but I mean, it was the moment.
Yeah,
that we
well, it was
went
both
over.
of them kind of, right.
Like she peeks in, he's asleep.
Right.
She leaves, he's awake.
Right.
And then,
It shows that they both kind of like, we're going to go back and maybe say something to one another.
right.
So it's still open. Okay, so in the tag, Jonathan's seated in a chair wearing a t-shirt and shorts.
And this is a tag that's in the script.
Yeah.
But not in the show.
Right.
Which is what you said.
Oh, I'm
Make
sorry.
sure everybody
yes,
knows
yes. His arms and face are dotted with calamine lotion. Jonathan, why
Something
did all the
happened.
mosquitoes at camp have to pick on me?
Oh.
Tony says, I guess they like little wasps.
Wait, what? This makes sense.
Jonathan says, I'm never going outside again. Now Sam and Mona come in carrying grocery bags, ad-lib hellos, how are yous, and groans. Sam carries the groceries towards the couch. I guess that's like she's bringing them to Tony instead of going in the kitchen. Tony says, funny, Sam, but just remember someday I'll be able to move again and you're mine.
Well, hang
Sam
on.
runs into the kitchen with the groceries.
Okay, but hang on.
Mm-hmm.
So, this just in, according to Urban Dictionary, a WASP stands for White Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Oh, Protestant, yeah.
White, so you knew that?
Yeah.
Oh, you knew that already,
Yeah.
okay.
He called her...
But it says Protestant often refers to an affluent people living in New England area.
Yeah, it's just supposed to be like stuck-up white people, basically.
Oh, okay.
He's
Well, you knew that, and I didn't.
sorry.
You're like, oh, wasp. I'm like, well, wasp must mean something. And as you're
I'm
talking,
sorry.
I quickly looked
I
it up.
didn't know that you didn't know.
I know, I think I did, and I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm
it's-
old. I forgot about it. That brain cell's gone.
Yeah, I can't remember. He called Angela that, too.
Okay, so we've already...
Yeah,
we
in a previous
Oh,
episode.
my gosh. Okay.
So, okay, now... Okay, so Sam goes running into the kitchen to put the groceries away. Now Mona says, okay, I got everything you asked for. Comic books for you, young man, handing them to Tony, and girly magazines for you, handing them to Jonathan.
Oh.
Then she says, wait a minute, that's not right. And she makes a switch. And Jonathan, snapping his finger, says, rats.
No, he thought he was going to get Playboy.
Right. I know, so did
Penthouse.
Mona really, like, what magazine did
I don't know.
Did Mona? Is he just gonna sit on the couch and sit there and read some Penthouse letters?
I guess so.
Or,
Sure.
or maybe
Penthouse
the girly
Forum.
magazine was just more like
Sports Illustrated swimsuit
Yeah,
issue.
FHM or Sports Illustrated or something.
There's no FHM then.
Well, whatever the equivalent,
is.
was at the
Okay.
time. Yeah.
All right. No, I don't know.
So, Angela enters from kitchen. She carries a tray with 2 glasses of juice. Angela says, okay, juice for my sick little boys. She hands juice to Jonathan and Tony. Tony, like a sick little boy, says, is it fresh? Angela says, yes, I squeezed it myself and I took all the seeds out. And Tony says, you weren't wearing a tie, were you?
Oh. Zing.
The phone rings. Angela goes to answer it. She says, hello? Yes, just a minute. It's Dr. Carter. Now, Tony's nervous. It says the hypochondriac. He says, oh, God, I bet he left a sponge in me or his watch. I think I hear it ticking.
Oh, my gosh.
Angela says, it's for Mother. And Tony says, oh. So now Mona, taking the phone, says, hello? Why, yes, Dr. Carter, Saturday night sounds like fun.
Of course.
But I must warn you, as with any procedure of this nature, there's always a chance of death. But it'll be worth it.
Ah.
And on Tony's reaction, we freeze frame. So how did Mona even know the doctor?
I don't know.
So somehow Mona got a date with the doctor who took out Tony's appendix.
Yes.
So
Even though she was never at the hospital.
Right. Unless she maybe were to assume that she went to the hospital, like pick up Tony or something,
Yeah,
and then
that's
met
true.
the doctor. Immediately made a, I would say love connection, but really just lust
Love
connection,
connection.
and then got a date with him.
Right.
So yes, that is the end of the episode in the script.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a tag. I mean, I guess for you to read it all seems like it
Yeah,
would have been
I mean,
longer than it really was.
I had
but
to read
still.
all the stage directions and stuff, so it
Yeah,
probably
the
went
fact
faster
that
than
they
that.
cut
but-
everything. It's kind
Yeah,
of
but it's
impressive.
kind of cute in the way that it ties back in Jonathan and his regrets for
I
going
know.
on the
That's true. That's true.
Trailblazer, and then of course it brings back that line of you get the third line of "As I must warn you, a procedure of this nature" or whatever.
That's much warned you.
Okay, so do you want to do rating first? What do you
I don't
think?
know.
I
I
did
can't
rating
remember.
first last time.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll go first.
Okay.
This episode I thought was a 7.5. 7.5.
Nice.
Is that what we're doing? Yeah, 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall it's a good episode. it had its moments with Angela cooking and like kind of Tony being leery of her cooking and everybody kind of bailing out right away, and people thought it was because of Angela's cooking. And just like overall, it had really good like feel good moments. You thought something was going to happen. And honestly, I watched it kind of not remembering this episode, which I know you knew all about it.
I had watched it more recently.
I mean, and I seemed like as it was going, I'm like, okay, I know what's about to happen. I know what's about to happen because I started to realize, yes, I do remember this episode. Like I knew something happened with him, but I know it was his appendix or whatever.
It is funny how that stuff comes back to you as you're watching it.
Right. I'm like, okay, yes, I do remember that. Yeah. But yeah, overall, it was a very enjoyable episode. So I gave it a 7.5.
Nice. I went 8.5.
Oh, 8.5.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
almost went 8.
This one.
I almost went 8.
I know,
and I
you're
thought
usually like a half off.
I know, and you usually, I feel like you think that I rate too high or too low either way.
Oh, you can rate however you want.
I know, but I don't want you to judge me. But no, that's interesting. But I thought 8 was pretty solid.
Yeah, only because it's kind of...
I'm sorry, 7.5.
There's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot of subtext and a lot of things that you can... If you watch this episode 17 times for this podcast... there are like a lot of little things that it brings up of the whole fact of like, what are they risking if they take the chance? What are they risking if they don't take the chance?
True. That's good. Yeah.
Why does Tony feel like he's not good enough for her? Would Angela really be okay with dating someone who is her housekeeper? Like, there are going to be a few episodes next season, one in particular that really deals with this, and I think it makes them realize that it's not quite as cut and dry as they think. So yeah, it just kind of brings up a lot of the points as to what makes this situation kind of unique with having him as her housekeeper. And
what's great about it, and I mean, I remember watching this show, and I watched every single episode as a kid, but like I actually don't remember when they get together, and I know it's late.
Right. You probably had stopped watching by the time they get together.
I don't know. I mean, I remember Alyssa Milano growing up. Like, I think I mainly watched it because of her.
Right.
We are exactly the same age.
Right.
Like, almost to the day. So, I remember having a crush on her all throughout.
Right.
Like, in every season, I'd be like, oh, she looks great, or whatever. So, I know I watched it all, but I just don't. And I remember them getting together, but I always thought it was earlier.
Right, I know, right? You would think the realistic, the natural.
I know we've talked about this before.
Yeah, timeline would be like for me. I think season 4 would really be the latest.
And so this episode leads you to believe something's going to happen next. Oh, okay, this is the way it ends.
Yeah,
next season, something's definitely going to happen. Yeah, guess what? No.
It's funny because we both watched this show for Alyssa Milano, but I feel like for very different reasons.
You're darn right.
I wanted to be Alyssa Milano.
And I just wanted Alyssa Milano.
Which was okay at the time because you were also a child.
I was we are the same exact age.
Right.
So it was okay.
Right.
Who's the boss around here? Me? Or my mother? Or maybe it's you!
I went with Mona as the boss for this episode. And the reason is because once she realized that both of the kids weren't going to be there, she bailed to try to get them alone. Then, once the next morning happened and Angela explained that Tony said that he loved her, she was really pushing Angela to think about this. So I kind of feel like she was trying to lead them in that direction in this episode.
Okay. I actually agree with you.
Nice.
I think for those exact reasons.
I thought you weren't, the way you said,
Oh, well, no, I was just trying to,
Suspense.
people listening. No, I agree. I agree 100% on what you said, all the things you said. I mean, even though she was only in the episode here and there, and even though she thought that they were going to town in the living room, and then she thought she succeeded. She's like, I did my work is done here. I'm leaving the kitchen.
I'm going to go start picking out invitations for the wedding.
That's right.
Yep.
because it's on in the living room. But yeah, for the most part, yes, same thing. Because for Angela and Tony, it was hard to pick one or the other because they were like tiptoeing around it. So
wait, what if Jonathan is actually the genius here, and he decided not to go, and then he told Mona make other plans because he's still trying to work on his Jonathan Plays Cupid.
Well,
plan.
I mean, that's pretty far-fetched, but yeah, we can go with that.
That would have been fantastic.
It would have
if
been,
there
actually
was any proof that could have been what happened.
I know, because he's a pretty smart kid.
He is.
At least they portray him to be.
Okay, so you can reach us at Who's the Boss Podcast on Instagram, Who's the Boss Pod 1 on Twitter, or go to Facebook. We have a Who's the Boss Podcast page, or anchor.fm/WTBB podcast, and there you can leave a voice message that we can play on the air. So for the next episode, we are going to cover Charmed Lives, which was...
I can't wait.
A pilot spinoff for a show with Fran Drescher and Donna Dixon. And then we're moving on to season 3.
Oh my goodness, season 3.
I know. It's crazy.
That's the last season, right? No more after that?
We're not even halfway.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we might need to pick up the pace to make it in time.
What do we do?
I don't know. I really don't.
Combine episodes and make people listen to 2 episodes at the same time?
No. It would still be 1 episode, but maybe we need to go like 3 times a week or something to try to get them out before. Because I'm just worried
But they're still going to... Oh, you mean release them? Oh my gosh, we'd have to get them done faster.
I know, which we're doing okay, but yeah. My fear is then like in 6 months they're going to be like, oh, the reboot's in 3 months, and then we're still like in season 4. But what can we do? Okay. Nobody wants to hear this conversation.
I know.
But thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell all your friends and give you a big pat on the back. Bye. I added some extra.